Hi, welcome to my live stream. I just started just a little bit early, maybe like 20 seconds, but I'm going to go ahead and play the song. I'm going to reheat my coffee and I will be right back. Hold on, let me get the song out here.
If I had $1 for every time that my life took a sour turn, I'd be rich and rolling baller and hollering at your girl. I'd be making little money and spending it like I'm rich. I'd be making bad decisions and thinking that I'm the. If I had $1 for every time that my life took a sour turn, I'd be rich and rolling baller and hollering at your girl. I'd be making little money and spending it like I'm rich. I'd be making bad decisions and thinking that I'm the. Scratching my nutsack, dropping rap like rap. I stepped outside of my show and got robbed by one of them thug cats. Hopped on stage and someone yelled out, use a rag. If I wanted to hear a I beat it like a punch bag. Fun fact, people jump me like bounce castles. All I gotta do for it to happen is go to 10 and count backwards. Hearing the crowd's laughter, said about my dash pass, and someone walked past and laughed and said, damn man, you're a sad bastard. A tad act with misfit, vagabond, and miscreant. So confusing people's contemptuous glance for actually feeling it. Not narcissistic, just part of the pot you pissed in. Part of ways with them and left not a drop of wisdom. Been caught slipping, the cardinal smart victim, the convicts, criminals, and cogs in the cop system. Once thought I was cool in my market brand, skinny jeans, till a chick pulled them down and nicknamed my mini-me. If I had $1 for every time that my life took a sour turn, I'd be rich and rolling baller and hollering at your girl. I'd be making little money and spending it like I'm rich. I'd be making bad decisions and thinking that I'm the. If I had $1 for every time that my life took a sour turn, I'd be rich and rolling baller and hollering at your girl. I'd be making little money and spending it like I'm rich. I'd be making bad decisions and thinking that I'm the. In my underpants, I'm staring at the ceiling, debating boxer brief merits. Watching parent MCs copy M&M's of parents. It's apparent I'm destructive with the thoughts that I've been sharing. I'm a tad awkward in circles. My social cues considered barren, narrow-minded, and criminal intentions when I mention that my pen game's the only way I'll make it to a pension. Kamikazation of the problem in correlation with the root of all evil. At the tree of Eden, tearing at its fruit is for my people. Consumed with inner demons for my coop. Shooting hoop dreams, praying that they breaking through the roof. It's a middle finger if you talking, but never do a damn thing. Take a swing, man, I'm crazy and confused and deranged. Considered clinically insane, but where's the proof? I'm a bastard in the booth, captain of a sinking groove, riding out the waves of boat, overcoming what you do. If I had $1 for every time that my life took a sour turn, I'd be rich and rolling baller and hollering at your girl. I'd be making little money and spending it like I'm rich. I'd be making bad decisions and thinking that I'm the. If I had $1 for every time that my life took a sour turn, I'd be rich and rolling baller and hollering at your girl. I'd be making little money and spending it like I'm rich. I'd be making bad decisions and thinking that I'm the.
I don't know. I hope I had it on the right. I was sharing. I realized I had two windows open. And I hope I was actually sharing the song that I was wanting to play at the beginning. I don't know if I did or not. Let me see. I probably did. That was a Sour Turn. That's from Epidemic Sound. If you heard it, I don't know. Maybe somebody wants to say they heard it or not. Good morning. Today is September 2nd, believe it or not. Isn't that weird? I mean, the summer's over. Today's Labor Day, September 2nd, 2024. I'm actually live streaming this on YouTube originally. I don't know if this is going to end up anywhere else. We'll see how it goes. Okay. I haven't live streamed in a while. I think maybe it's been like a couple of weeks. I think the last time I did a live stream, I was dyeing my hair, which, as you can see, it's starting to fade. It's about 2 weeks in. Yesterday, maybe I should just go grab it really quick and show you. Not that anybody really cares about my hair, but since my hair is such a topic. Yeah, I got this. I don't know. It's a company called Leopard, and it's the color's Bali. So it's like one of those conditioners that you can put in just to kind of keep color in your hair. But yesterday, I really didn't take enough time to kind of just leave it in. So it is starting to fade a little bit. That's the sad part about coloring your hair, is that it fades. But you know what? Maybe that's kind of like the good part too, because if you have a color that you don't like, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait for this to get out of my hair. You just wash it out. So my rating on Dreamsicle by Manic Panic one of the things I've read in the reviews, that's the color that I use, is that the color doesn't stay very long, that it fades quickly. So it does kind of fade. You try not to wash your hair as much, but eventually, you got to wash it. I have my little wig goat, in the corner there because rumor has it that my hair is a wig, which this isn't a wig. But I really, it's getting so silly now. That's really reason why I colored my hair. As a matter of fact, I think I'm just going to go ahead and play the short, because I did make a little short out of it, and time lapsed and everything, and then the how it looked right after I colored it. So I'm just really grateful I have hair, really. And I've always seen hair as something that you could just mess with. Obviously, if you know anything about me, or if you followed, maybe you're here because you know me as being a comedian, or you're a personal friend, you decided to just slip in, or your family member or whatever. But if you really watch the progression of my hair, I had spikes in my hair when I was on Last Comic Standing, so I was like punk rock. So I've had varying hairstyles, from having my natural color, which was sometimes I dyed it blue black when I wanted to have that real bob goth look. I've done so many different hairstyles. And I have worn wigs or hair pieces, mainly for theater or even just doing videos. I thought for a while, because honestly, as a woman, it takes time to get your makeup on and stuff like that and be camera ready. I mean, I come from, working in the mainstream media where you have makeup artists and people are doing your hair, and you're getting ready to be on camera, and then between takes, even when you're an extra, there's somebody there to wipe up your oil off your face with their little pad and get the shine, and redo your hair and respray it between a take. So in when you're really working on camera, everything's in place. And a lot of let's look at the different stars out there who actually wear wigs. Madonna, Cher. I mean, it goes on and on. Probably a lot of entertainers, when they're performing, are wearing some sort of hairpiece, and they probably were pray that when they shake their head in the middle of their routine, that it doesn't fly off or something. So but, and I don't want to go on and on about wigs, because that's just the typical hi dot underscore. Look, I gave you a wrench. Welcome to the wrench family on Not My Rabbit Hole. So thanks for being here. Okay, so the reason why I haven't, let me just get to the point here. Sort of the point. Is there a point? Let's see. I titled this, when I first was getting ready to live stream, I've kind of gotten through variations of titles of what I even wanted to call this show. And what did I call it? The Truth Media Rabbit Hole. I mean, actually, Rabbit Hole cannot exist without Truth Media, in a sense, because, way back when certain networks like Revolution Radio was in its heyday, or you had American Freedom Radio, all these other kind of lower level, I'm not saying not lower level, but they weren't the big channels. It wasn't Gaia TV, which came on later. They weren't Alex Jones, although they were Alex Jones adjacent, because the owner, the proprietor of American Freedom Radio, Danny Romero, started out way back when with Alex Jones. And I almost wish, I wonder if he would let me interview him at this point, because I spent hours talking to him personally, of him telling me what Alex Jones was like back then, or what it was like to work with them, or what was happening in the early days of what we would call the Truth Media. And the Truth Media comes down from all those different kind of conspiracies that were going on at that time. In the early days, Jordan Maxwell came out. You had, I mean, the list goes on, right? If you go back to the early days of Vinnie Eastwood, where's Vinnie Eastwood actually? What happened to Vinnie Eastwood? What happened to Vinnie? Because Vinnie was very much a staple of American Freedom Radio. So the genre in and of itself has a history, and it's unique in that history. And that history has played out in the dynamics of what people think is really happening in the world. When I just recently watched, and I highly recommend it. I'm going to go into talking about this here in a second. It's called The Conspiracy. It came out in 2012. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but the director is, let me get the Christopher McBride. And I'm going to show you. I haven't, I share, it's free to watch on YouTube. And never having seen it before. At first, I thought it was real. And it does talk about real things. Okay, let me just give you the synopsis of the movie. And there is a reason, there is a through line of why I'm bringing this up. Okay, I've talked about a little bit about the Truth Media this morning. If you're coming here late, I was part of what you call the Truth Media online. And I just feel like talking about a little bit of it today. One of the things that sparked me to talk about it was Aiken Drum. Aiken Drum was in one of Daniel Dell's chats, and they were showing stuff about David Wilcock, who is a longtime person in what we would call the Truth Media, the UFO media, Ancient Aliens, the media that puts together patterns, right? Pattern recognition. So let's talk about connecting the dots. Why is it that humans, us, when we see something, because we want to make sense about our world around us, we recognize patterns. Now, recognizing patterns is actually the basis of science. It's when you say, like, for example, Charles Darwin, when he went on the voyage on the Beagle, it wasn't just, he was supposed to go out there for 2 years. I'm talking about Charles Darwin, right? When he went on the Beagle, the U.S. Beagle, it was 5 years. He did a little tour, and he was out there to collect resources in different parts of the country to take back to England so that they would know where those resources were, because they wanted those resources. It's really about, in a sense, like how all this came about when people were traveling around and collecting moths and whatever and finch birds and noticing that their beak sizes change and they look a little bit different, but they're the same species. How does that happen? Like finding fossils of species that are extinct now, don't exist anymore. These were like things where made people wonder patterns. What's the pattern of, there's a pattern of something happening here. But what does this mean? What does this mean for life on the planet? What is the pattern? So you see a pattern. So you come up with an observation, right? You go, there's a pattern to what I'm looking at. And I'm not sure what that pattern is or what it means, but I'm going to try to make sense out of what that is. Now, on a scientific level, you test that pattern, you come up with a hypothesis, and you say, well, I think the reason why X plus Y equals Z is because it might be because of blank. And so you developed a series of way of testing what that pattern is repeatedly. You say, these are my findings, you publish it. then somebody else comes along and goes, that's interesting. And then they take what was published and try to do it again. They test it again and again and again and again until it becomes a theory, which is a provable, testable explanation. But it's still a theory. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a fact, because with new information, then you do it all over again. Well, whoops, we found something that we didn't know that we were going to discover. And so maybe now it's blank, right? And we go through our life and we go, okay, there's mythology, which we all have mythology, and we use mythology into explaining what is actually really in front of us. And that's like a folklore mythology, but it's not really taking that pattern and testing it as a theory or a testable explanation. I hope that you are following me in what I'm talking about. And the reason why I know this, the reason why I'm even putting this together and sharing this with you today is because I'm taking Anthro 2. I'm taking Anthro 2 and I'm looking at, like, it's not the first time, it's not the first professor that I've had that has said it's pattern recognition. So our very instinct as people is trying to watch a pattern and then develop a theory of what we think that is. And then if you can prove it, let's say, I mean, I'm equating it to like a conspiracy, but then you have investigated it. You've investigated the situation and you have proven it to be true. So in a way, in 2012, I'm going to bring it back to this movie, The Conspiracy. This and it was shot very, what I liked about the film, right? If you go to my community page, you can click on it. It's free. It's free. It's a free movie. There's a lot of really good free movies now on YouTube, but like all of like some of the great ones that I liked back, let's say 2012, early 2000s, 1990s. You can go back and see them now for free. I love it. Don't have to be on Netflix or Peacock or Apple TV. It's just right there. And so because the Truth Media did a lot of that. The Truth Media did a lot of connecting the dots. And then it also allowed people that they were their own expert. They had their own resume. They had been on Ancient Aliens. They had their own research, their own stuff that may or may not have been retested and reformatted and relooked at. It was just taken as this hypnotism of like myth or folklore that we fall into as people, because if we can't make the explanation in like the pattern and testing the pattern and investigating the pattern and drawing conclusions, we use some sort of spirituality or paranormal excuse to make that make sense for us. And I think the Truth Media does a lot of that. And I think that, looking back when I got involved and when I started to look at this material before I even joined the media, I was in this place where I kind of started thinking about things that I hadn't thought about before, or I had some sort of pattern recognition where I'm trying to connect the dots. I'm curious about things, and I stumble on to a media on YouTube that I was still impulsive and looking through the lens of mythology. And I think in many ways I was not using discernment in the things that I was observing or hearing about. And when you get into a media that is playing in that realm, for example, um, a network like Revolution Radio wasn't just about, oh, I'm connecting dots and I'm talking about what's happening globally on in the world, or that we need to drain the swamp, or there is a secret cabal that is in a secret society ruling. There's a group of people that are in charge of the rest of us that are kind of like just lolcows eating grass, right? It's not hard, and as a person, to not have known the terminology, the Illuminati, or any of these terms, and especially now, because you have comedians like Cat Williams talking about it, and we had the incident that took place. It was kind of pre Puff Daddy, and now we look at what Puff Daddy is happening right now. So it's when you're looking at these things and you've been seeing these things so long, people talking about the eyeball on the dollar bill and the pyramid, and you see entertainers like Jay-Z and so doing the triangle and right in front of your face, doing one-eyed stuff, doing all these different hand gestures that went down this pike of pattern recognition. Why are these people doing these hand gestures? Why do we keep seeing the same structures and the same symbols around us? What does the obelisk mean? Where does that come from? Like, you start to look at, like, well, what things that you never really maybe noticed before, that you just took for granted because we were born into how this system works, right? Oh, you guys are talking in there. Renee says we are just saying. Okay, yeah, you're talking about the Blair Witch Project. Yeah, it's the Blair Witch Project. Yeah. The Blair Witch Project, in a way, had one of the best marketing it was a new form of marketing, because they dumped this footage as if it sounded like it was really happening. It was a documentary. It was like the promo for the show. So, there's the other version of this is like Best in Show. It's Spinal Tap, the comedy version of this. There's a comedy version of a mockumentary, and then there's the thriller horror genre of a documentary. And so the conspiracy definitely is from that genre. Only it wove in, and they're basically talking about, I just looked it up, it's a real group called the Tarsus Group. Okay, so but before I get into this, okay, I know I'm kind of weaving all over the place here, but I just don't want to lose my train of thought on talking about, I guess the main thing today is I'm explaining and walking through the process of why I have a channel called Not My Rabbit Hole with Terry Joyce, basically. Like, why did I choose that? Like, what have I gone through on YouTube or even social media, or what's happened politically? What have I gone through that has gotten me into talking about conspiracies and liking a movie like this, and looking at how people can get caught up in something without really thinking about who the people are that are giving the information to you, not knowing the difference between mythology and science, And I'm not saying that, God doesn't exist or paranormal doesn't exist. All of those things are on the table too, but it's not letting it grab you by the nose and make you be some sort of parrot talking about something and maybe even accusing people that you shouldn't have accused because you think that that's what the truth is. Because you think that because like let's say there were certain shows at that time that were no longer exist anymore on YouTube because YouTube weeded them out. But we listened to those voices talking about things without really being professional about it, without really having integrity or ethics or discernment, or wondering where that came from, or if it's the truth, or is it just folklore, or is it religion? Is it spirituality? Is it the spirituality that you agree with? Like, in many ways, I feel that the media that called itself the truth media ended up becoming the manipulation media, ended up becoming the propaganda media. And then they have the audacity to label themselves as truth. That's my experience going into that particular world. And part of the reason, not all of the reason, that I've decided or I took an interest in journalism, that I wanted to learn about it, that I wanted to understand how media works, is partly because I feel like I messed up. That I want to correct myself. That I really am looking for the truth. That I do understand. Just because you have pattern recognition is not a bad thing in and of itself. But I think at some point it's time to take the rose-colored glasses off. Not to say that none of that exists, that we are being controlled by forces that we don't, do we really have power in stopping what is happening right now? Where do people turn for their information? I think that right now there's a huge mistrust on the mainstream media to really believe that the information that they're saying is in fact true. And I don't think we should be naive in accepting everything that comes down the pike because it is the group agreed way of how we should think about something. That is not thinking logically. And one of the reasons why I joined something that called itself the truth media is because I had the realization and I was questioning the mainstream media. And I was doing this, it probably started when I started questioning the very media that I was a part of, that I had worked in. Radio, reality television, everything. When I started to question that was around 2006, 2007. And, but that's for another conversation, but I will give you a little bit of insight on it because I'm taking a nonfiction creative writing class, and I'm super excited about it. It's about writing essays and memoirs and things like this. And, I'm trying to, I have to write, for my final is a memoir or an essay. And, I just started the class, but I just already thoughts have come into my mind. And sometimes I just write a little bullet point of something, but okay, wait, Okay, and this was the quote that I wrote down. Having had a gun in my face changed me. Until then, I had been watching Sex and the City every night, trying to figure out which character I identified with the most. For me, that when I write that sentence, now I can go back and I know why I wrote that. I know what that means to me personally. And I'll probably insert it in that piece if I choose to write it, because it's a line that I didn't want to forget. Having had a gun in my face changed me. Until then, I had been watching Sex and the City every night, trying to figure out which character I identified with the most. And it was in that defining moment for me that I went, oh my God, I said it to myself as it was happening. I said, I've been asleep. How did it get this bad? I voted for this. And for me as a person, and I'm just sharing this with you as why I, got interested in looking at the media and going, they lied to me about this. This is not the way it is. And that was the change in me. That for me is when I started to look at things. And at that time, okay, there was a budding internet happening. And I think I'm OG in it. I started live streaming on something called Ustream before Facebook or Instagram or any of these other places had that applications. And the reason why how I learned about it was because I did go down and document the Occupy movement in Los Angeles. People camped out there at the same time that the Michael Jackson trial was taking place. Now, I've talked about this before, and I've had other people make comments about it and try to twist this into something different. But the day I had the gun in my face over something that I voted for was the reason why I was passing out pamphlets at the Occupy movement, because there was something legally happening surrounding that. And I had a show called Hollywood Hemptress Hour, or I was doing a show called American Hemptress with a woman named January Thomas, comedian. And I was heavily involved in my community in West Hollywood on that topic, which has to do with legalization, which has to do with the fact that you can go get what you want legally on Labor Day and choose that over alcohol. Like, I really believe that experience turned me into an advocate for our rights, which I consider to be American, which I consider what I'm talking about be woven into the very fabric of what America is, because our Declaration of Independence was written on it originally. So I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. That changed me. That made me start thinking about things. That made me pull out my cell phone and live stream people protesting and standing up for their rights, because that's interesting to me. Because it's almost all we have right now. And the reason why I was out there is because I read a mainstream article about what was going on at the encampment on Occupy in Los Angeles. And because I had been there and I had seen something different for myself, I felt like the media was lying about it. And I was like, why are they lying? And really, in that particular movement, let's go back for a second. It was because of the banks, the banks went down. People lost their homes, but the banks got bailed out and the people got sold out. That was the main thing behind it. And they were using the internet to disseminate their information by live streaming live on the internet. And if you knew where to go, you could watch online and listen to what every single encampment was saying around the world, because it happened around the world. And I think in some ways, and then we have the Dawn, right? Really using social media and pointing a finger at the mainstream media, saying, no, you're fake news. No, you're fake news. So I ended up looking at things, finding the internet, finding a David Wilcock, finding a Carrie Cassidy, listening to Max Spears, stumbling eventually on an Isaac Kappy after I was already in the media. Aiken asked me, it's like, I want to know about Revolution Radio. I'd like to talk about Revolution Radio. I'd like to talk about my experience in what I've seen. Because this is all media. I mean, no matter how look, people are getting their news on TikTok right now. And isn't that funny that that's what, we're trying to get rid of, is TikTok, where people are getting their news at. We're getting our news on an app, on a company from China. How does that make you feel? These are the things that go on in my head. This is what matters to me. I found that the truth media was not the truth. There are a lot of discrepancies that I have with a lot of the people that I worked alongside with and even had relationships with. It was a huge eye-opening experience for me. And I'm grateful that I did choose to go to school and find out. Because I think the education and the understanding of what it really is and the good part of it, the reality of it, even students know that the media is not perfect. We now can recognize what propaganda is coming from the mainstream media. And a media can learn of itself and improve. And a person can hold themselves accountable for what they say and really and diligently try to analyze and retest that pattern recognition until you know it's true or not. Maybe you write about the fact that you're trying to figure out what it is or what you think it is. but never just be so straight on everything, thinking that just because somebody who has 100,000 K followers said blank about blank means shit. Right? Maybe not. You had friends that were covering the Occupy movement in San Francisco. I think it was quite dynamic. Cornel West spoke at what happened in Los Angeles, and got arrested. The way they swamped on that encampment, LA, because they had a permit to be there in the beginning. In the beginning, Mayor Antonio Villagrosa, I'm talking about like LA, was giving out ponchos. I mean, it's written in the Los Angeles Times. He was giving out ponchos and everything. And we welcome you in your stance against this building that was made by Masons. Like, I'm just joking, but it's like, and being out there, I was out there off and on for like 11 days, was really an experience. Like, I kind of was like an anthropologist out there, you know what I'm saying? Going through, like, I went through a tobacco ritual ceremony on the grounds of, in Los Angeles with a shaman, and with a group of people. We laid tobacco lays like all over the trees, and then they said, you must pick. We had to make our own tobacco lays, right? And then they go, you must pick one person to sleep with all of this around their neck tonight, and then they will do the final lay in the morning. And guess who got picked? I did. I got picked for that. I mean, I always feel like I feel like I was like emotional about it. I mean, the deepness of people wanting freedom and wanting this, whatever's been happening in terms of not having global peace. And the whole thing about that movement was that we were controlled by 1% of the society. It was all about the 1%, which came out in 2012, the crux of this particular documentary. And that's how I'm bringing it around full circle, because even there, and then you realize that everybody, like it went all around the world, that there was this sort of thing like, what's going on here? And we're tired of it. And that's probably based on some sort of pattern recognition. But and here's my question. Does that pattern recognition actually really exist? Or does it exist because there's a media behind it pushing what that might be? And which media is doing it accurately? Which one is putting things false in there too, simply because they know that there will people, just because they can see a pattern or connect dots, just because they see a pattern, they think it must be true because they see a pattern, without really fully analyzing, why does that pattern really exist? __ says, I need Douyin in China. I was surprised to see it here on TikTok when I got home. Yeah. TikTok is still really strict on certain things. You just kind of have to understand like what each social media is, what each channel, like platform, is allowing people to say and why. Like I'm really right now in my I can't live stream as much on YouTube as I was doing. Because I am really busy right now and I am getting down to the finish line of my studies and also preparing for the next direction that I am now taking my knowledge to. Like, right? What am I doing after graduation? Well, right now, I don't want to tell anybody because there are certain things that it's better just to keep to yourself, not on a public platform. But I do think that there are projects, like, for example, the non-creative writing project that I want to do, and there's certain things that I'm doing now in my classes that I do see being my future. Like, I do see myself writing nonfiction, creative writing, memoirs, essays. And it really is an area that I would like to go to. And you can do that on a journalistic level too, as well. Um, and I think that I have a lot of stories in me. And maybe that and being older in the age that I am and having done what I've done brings much more to the tapestry of it all. And so anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I've been working on changing my YouTube channel. My viewership has gone up since I've made changes. So I know that it's a positive direction to go in. It's not like I'm not going to talk about a few things. And actually, those few things I'm going to get to. But when I do talk about it, it's going to be in a much more limited sense. And when I say that, the things I'm talking about are the things that involve people that I have spent a lot of time discussing or thinking that I had something to say and in refuting something that doesn't exist or whatever. It's like, for me, like, that whole experience is like, well, what's the pattern here? Because there is a definite pattern. Now, I probably will still discuss that pattern at some point on some platform when I've, but here we will talk about it a little bit in a certain way, but not from the way of which I have to be triggered or worried or concerned about anything that anybody has to say about me. And that's from whether or not my hair is real or whether or not I'm a funny comedian or whatever is going on. Because in my opinion, those people are no different. They were probably the bully in high school. Like, it's almost like, well, do we recognize a pattern here, or do we question that is the bully in high school? Is he now calling himself captain of something? See, I think what's happened is, and of course, even if you are a phony, right? Like, let's say there are, like, if you look at this particular media, just in and of itself, the different people that have come forward on Revolution Radio or Carrie Cassidy or whomever, they take anybody's testimony. Anybody's testimony, it seems. And they take things that are spiritual or psychic or paranormal or involved maybe in the real things that actually really exist, but they take it and they make it to where it serves them. And in that sense, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. They're nothing really but a charlatan who is giving you a false belief, a false sense of security in what you think you're experiencing and what you think your future actually really is. That's my opinion. That's my take on it. That's why this channel's called Not My Rabbit Hole. Now, maybe there'll be some provable, testable theory that will explain that the rabbit hole is real, at which point I will stop streaming or uploading content to this channel and call it something else. But for right now, in the truth media, a lot of the things that they said, rabbit hole or not my rabbit, going down the rabbit hole, breaking the matrix, taking the red pill, any of those terminologies, well, frankly, they annoy me. And on that note, I shall say goodbye. But before I go, I want to share the link. What time is it? Oh, wait. I have a little more time. Let's go a little bit farther. Oh, yeah. There are a couple things because, even though I call this channel Not My Rabbit Hole, I'm still willing to go down certain rabbit holes and take a look and try to figure out what it is. Right? Okay. So let's go. All right. So this movie, director Charles McBride, horror thriller film, is a must watch if you are into conspiracy theories. It's a scripted screenplay shot like a real documentary. The film is reminiscent of the Blair Witch Project with a satisfying plot twist in the end. The best part is it's free to watch on YouTube. Enjoy. If you want to watch the film, please share your thoughts in the comments below. So, I'm not going to link it here right now, but it is on my community page. So if you go to my community page, you can hit it there at Not My Rabbit Hole with Terry Joyce. If you're seeing this right now, please like and subscribe to my channel. That's one way of helping me out if you are into analyzing the rabbit hole itself. Come and join me. LOL, I haven't seen your community post, so that's funny. The Blair Witch thing. Yeah, see, you're right on it. _. We think alike, right? We're getting it. Yeah, no, it was very much that way. And again, I pulled up some more stuff about the movie. And I'd like to analyze the movie and how the movie is, so the film Oh my God, was I on mute that whole time? Holy crap. That was weird. I don't know how it muted. All right, so let me go back. Let me go back to the IMBD page of the conspiracy. Shoot. You know what was weird was that. Okay, thanks, Jamie. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, Ben. Ben J. Why am I screwing up on your name? Ben the J.R. Porter. Okay, yeah, this is interesting to me because. Okay, so here's the storyline, right? It froze up. And I did show a little bit of the beginning of the picture. Let me just play it again for you.
Society's been constructed in a way to keep people asleep, to keep them in debt, to keep them feeling powerless, conditioned to deny what's right in front of its eyes.
Which is what?
That we're slaves.
Okay, and that's the character that I was saying has the bullhorn on the street. And he's, it's so you go through the cast. All right, I'm scrolling really fast. Here's the storyline. I'll read it again. Becoming the documentary itself, the changing nature of Friends, Aaron and Jim's latest documentary film is presented. Let me make sure I'm still on. Okay. So becoming the documentary itself, the changing nature of the Friends, Aaron and Jim's latest documentary film is presented. The original subject of the documentary was the bizarre world of conspiracy theorists, most specifically one named Terrence G. Not the actual content of the video, which came their way of one of his old-fashioned soapbox-styled street-side rants that intrigued them, but rather the fact of the number of comments to the video supporting his theories that did. So, again, this guy's ranting on the street with the bullhorn, and really at this time, and the point that I was making earlier was at this time in 2012, around when this movie came out, there were people on the street like that. You could see them on Santa Monica Boulevard. They had their pamphlets and their books, and they were talking about, you know what I'm talking about, that really I'm going to avoid mentioning here on YouTube, right? So in addition to their interviews with Terrence, much of that original documentary included interviews with a female psychologist talking about the mental state of someone like Terrence. And in a real documentary, you always want to have the expert opinion. And so, even in this mock documentary or this, documentary horror thriller film like a Blair Witch Project, you have the expert person. The nature of the documentary changed when Terrence went missing without a trace midway through the filming. During Aaron and Jim's online search in trying to figure out what may have happened to Terrence, they thinking something nefarious, Aaron, in the process, beginning to believe many of the theories Terrence espoused, stumbles across a story theory that a secret organization called the Tarsus Group, comprised solely of powerful white men, is in the process of creating and controlling a new world order. As such, they have to discover not only if the Tarsus Group truly does exist, but if it does, whether they are doing what is purported, namely taking over the world. And again, even this story, right, falls within a genre of media, like, for example, The Hunger Games, or what was that one, the Korean film, that was, they have apocalyptic secret society. They're on the hunt. You are the thing, the animal that they are hunting. And this film, has those themes running through it. And the Tarsus Group is actually a real group. Now, and that's The Secret Society. So the film actually talks about things that are real. For example, I'm going to take that one out, and this is why this is interesting to me, like, to talk about today in talking about the Truth Media rabbit hole, right? Because the film is like, the reason why the film shows the pattern of what's going on, or what happens, or what's part of the conspiracies, or what, you see what I'm saying? There's a formula to the documentary that mimics the formula that exists and in what we think is real in the conspiracy world, right? That's why there's a script about it. That's why this is interesting to me, because it shows the pattern in a very creative way, and it's entertaining. So, have any of you guys seen this before? Just out of curiosity. Okay, so The Conspiracy 2000. Okay, so Wikipedia, Amazon, a meticulously researched thriller based on real conspiracy theories. The conspiracy blurs the line between fact and fiction, news and propaganda. That is a very good synopsis, and that's from Amazon.com. I think that mainly states it. So, if you guys are, getting tired of the drama and the groups and pointing fingers and they're wearing a wig, she's wig good. If you get tired of that, whatever that is, go over there and check that film out. It's free, and it's on my community page. So I'm making you go to my community page. All right. So another thing that I want to bring up is I've been into Survey Junkie, and I have a ticker tape if you want to support my channel or my efforts or anything that I do. Because again, part of the reason why I'm not going to be live streaming or reacting to all that negativity is because I do have things to get done, and I am creating on other platforms like TikTok. And I'm liking my TikTok lives and things that are going on there and what that social media platform is like. And to be honest with you, in many ways, YouTube hasn't been as fun for me, but I do believe that those of you who are here, like Ben and _, and everything, you're joining in the conversation, that we generally have an interest in the same things. Like, I feel like I'm talking about things that are interesting to me, and talking about, like, what I still am looking in and trying to figure out if it's real or not real, or where are there extraterrestrials? What is Earth? What is beyond what we think it is? That's I'm not saying that just because somebody, because Ben the J.R. Porter is full on into alien disclosure, but I think that he does it because he's generally curious about it. He's not opted to anything. I think there's some people that are out there that it doesn't matter if what they think is true or why they think it's true. It's more about something else that basically is part of the pattern of this movie or whatever. It's anyway. Oh, you're gonna never download TikTok? Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. There's a lot of stupid things on TikTok. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, but then there's other things that I find it's just another way of reaching people in whatever way. It's like every social media platform has its own, for me, a different purpose in many ways, a different way of expressing. Like, I feel like Not My Rabbit Hole, we all kind of went down the rabbit hole, if you will, in many ways. Like, we all are still we are those kind of people that do have pattern recognition. and try to figure out things or assess or analyze or make jokes about it. Because, I am a comedian. So obviously I'm working with a certain level of pattern recognition, even in finding what's funny about what you're looking at. But for me, I also have a curiosity about what I'm studying. Like, I like the subjects that I'm studying. It's interesting to me. Everything that I'm doing right now in attaining my Bachelor of Arts is every single class that I have right now, to me, has a purpose. And I'm into that. And so, whatever I do create here, I'll still be doing shorts, and I'll still come in and do live streams more like this. That I want it to be something that has value, that, it's a conversation, it's a thought process, it's something enjoyable in some way. I don't want to sit here and go, oh, they said this about me and they said that about me, and point a finger at somebody else and, talk about their physical appearance or something. It's like, that's like a waste of brain space. That's a waste of like energy. I'm more into like, okay, I can analyze what's going on there. I can have thoughts about it, but really giving your creative juices to it is just an absolute waste. I'd rather re-dye my hair, There is something else that I want to share with you. And I'm sure that other people have seen this photo. So I feel like I'm not really particularly exposing something that isn't already out there. I just want to talk about it for a minute. Okay, so this is a photo of James Casbolt, and we were talking about the truth media, or the media that I'm in. A couple of the people that caught my eye first when it came to doing interviews involving Carrie Cassidy had to do with James Casbolt and Max Spears. And, the reason why, I don't know if I can click this and make it larger. I guess I can't right now, but I haven't published this anywhere. I guess if I might put it up, I should probably I'll share it on my community page here, and just for comments. But it's James Casbolt and a person named Duncan Paul running for office. I guess like if I expand it, I can know exactly what it is. But he's in politics now. You can tell his hair is white. And yeah, what do you think about that? Because James Casbolt did go to prison because of revenge, PORN, with his ex-wife. And he did time, and then he came out, and a lot of people didn't know where he was, and there was a lot of Miles Johnston drama, not talking to him. I even got swept up in that at some point way back in 2015 in a way that I wish I hadn't, but for some reason I am. And so I've had people ask me where James Casbolt is, or where like I would be like, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea where he is. I even kind of at some point even forgot about him. And when you talk about people that grift off of things that happen in the media, you've got like a Lauren Pritchard, who is his twin flame, and having babies that are being taken away and put up to a spaceship so that they can be raised, but then also push very the satanic panic stuff and the very far right-wing fringe narratives at the same time, and also going on stage as attempting going to open mic night as a comedian and doing jokes about Lucifer. So you see what I'm saying here? Like, when we talk about the spin-offs of things and things that we've done, or for whatever reason we've done them, is what can I say? And then when you look at it, what part of this is real? What part of this is really MK Ultra? What part of this is actually really a sect of a military that uses psychic and paranormal abilities in their warfare? I mean, even Max Spears, he is known as a UFO conspiracy researcher. So he is part of the very truth media that I'm talking about. And just because he is, I'm not saying he's phony. But what part of the things that are being said are exact? And have some of them put in things that aren't true, just so that you never know what the truth is? And if they were, why are they even allowed to speak on any of these issues? And I mean, there's so many questions that you could legitimately raise, because James Casbolt's still around. He's just been kind of reinvented, or an attempt to reinvent him, or an illusion to make it look like he is that. And so I think it's really interesting to contemplate it. That's my take on it today. That's just my initial thoughts. I'm just sharing thoughts. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying I'm correct. If you have any ideas about it, please share them in the comment section. I look forward to your feedback, and I will really work on being kind to you, even if it's something that I don't agree with. So, Ben the J Porter says he has broken contract with the communities, as far as I know. Yes, 100%, but I do honestly think it's real, and always look at both sides of the debate. That's what I like about you. It's important to look at both sides of the debate, not just go, well, just because they are, or whatever, because what if you're wrong? And anyway, I can get on a soapbox about that. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to share, and that's also on my community page, because I will always post on my community page something, that I'm looking at or contemplating. And sometimes I post them because I want to remember what it is to talk about it. And there is something that I did talk about.
You want to fucking call?
I did watch, kind of, in between stuff, classes, whatever, because sometimes I like to kind of unwind, and this came up in my feed. And I know a lot of people, like the people that are on this other part of what I really don't want to talk about, right? But I encourage you to watch this. I thought it was interesting. And again, I'm looking at patterns here. If we're looking at patterns, right? Because there's definitely pattern to what this is. It says this: exposing online DEATH cult leaders, Dave Swigert, Thomas Schoenberger, and Daniel Cromer. And so and again, a lot of you already know who Marcus Conte is. I'm still looking into him too, but I did like his take on and his point on this. And there's a much darker, more serious point. And some of what he says in this video is coming up in conversations and other people's videos. But when you demonize somebody with these conspiracies that created certain incidents that happened, like let's say at a PIZZA parlor, right? You know, he uses several examples of people that acted out aggressively like this, were bullied and under some sort of whatever goes on in this world, that it can create or end up in catastrophic things could happen. And so when you lie about somebody and you make up stories about them, you say where they live at or whatever, you could be putting a target on their back in a way that you know, really is kind of, again, follows in how do you prove it, what the actual damage of what happens, but then there is damage and there is fallout. And one of the ethics in journalism is that you always, whoever you're reporting at, if you believe it's the truth, you're always protecting whatever you're reporting. Like, you don't put something vulnerable to where they're going to experience retaliation, because at that point, if you were doing that, you would maybe consider protecting them by making them an anonymous source, which is not really looked as, it's frowned upon. But in certain situations, you want to protect people. But this group of people not only lies about them in a group, and it's organized, but they well, let me just play it. Let's just play it. You'll get what I mean after I play it. And I'm only going to play a snippet of it because of the nature of this topic, and because I only want a certain part of it to be heard. If you want to look at it yourself, you can always go. It's here on YouTube. I suggest that you look at it. Okay, wait.
Call me, right? I'm targeted by these guys, not because they think I'm a Justin Hess. Maybe they do. Maybe they think I'm crazy because I look crazy. But they're mostly targeting someone like myself or Lestat or DeFango or Lift the Veil, because we're what's called influencers. We're people that when we speak, people listen, right? So they target the influencers to promote their ridiculous stories and cover for the fact that it is in fact a stalking ring, an extortion ring, a ring of blackmail. So let me show you. I want to show you one of the characters. His name is his name. You know what? Let's look at All Seeing You first, because this is one of the most fascinating, revealing clips that I've seen. What I just showed you was a letter that she received after this video came out from one of the stalkers, and that's Thomas Schoenberger. So let's just look at what she has to say defining the gang. Listen to this.
So YouTube has been a real eye-opening experience for me. I have consistently been seeking, like actively looking for partners to create.
So who is All Seeing You? Who is this person? Right? She is partners in one of the online, I guess, the grooming sites, and that's Teenage FBI. I don't even want to say the name, because you go there and it's just a systematic chat room of hate. It's put the target on the screen and then hate the target. Now, unfortunately for All Seeing You, I think that she was partially a victim in the case but again, once you're in a ring, once you're in a gang, you then are an accomplice to all of the things that the gang commits. So when you're doing heinous crimes, when you're aggravated harassment over and over again, harassing people, mocking them, defaming them, creating frivolous lawsuits, backing those frivolous lawsuits with online commentary that supports it, you then become an accomplice. So All Seeing You is in fact an accomplice to the greater ring of Schellenberger, Acton, and Cromer, right, to some degree. But here's how she became victimized. Just listen to her. Listen to it again. We have it in their own words. I'm not saying it. She's saying it.
With, to write with, to bounce ideas off of, to
And Daniel Cromer is Lepo, right? I'm thinking that's who that is. If I'm wrong, let me know.
She's a talented graphic designer, and she's looking around for people to work with. She's not wealthy.
do something while we've got this opportunity to live the way we want. And apparently, I'm not cut out for it. Evidently, based on history with the people that I've chosen to work with, I don't know. Either I'm just really bad as a partner, or the little tiny group that exists in the truth community, right? Truthers. That little tiny group is full of psychos who are just hell-bent on being as shitty as possible, and they only have each other to talk to, so they don't see anything wrong with it, because they just go behind each other and say, good job, you made that one cry today, score. Or you got that person to quit the internet, or this person might have killed themselves now because of some shit that you did to them for months and months and months.
And so remember earlier on this live stream, I mentioned that for me, is this who the bully is in high school? Like, is this what they ended up doing on YouTube? That it's like, where is the line of stuff like this in person, or whether or not it's happening on YouTube or the internet, and the awareness, her awareness of it, that it happened and it existed and it happened to her, validates that it's a group of people that actually do it together.
And what?
Somebody.
I mean, that's the pattern I'm recognizing. I'm just, let's test it.
You might have gotten somebody to kill themselves.
Okay, so I want to kind of just go past that. I really didn't want to have, like, let's go to here.
I mean, let's face it, it's pretty much just out and out villain. But getting to play around in the chat with people where it was safe to do so, and it was okay, and it was funny, and like that, at the beginning it was a lot of fun. And it gave me sort of a voice that I didn't have before. And it inspired me when I would see people doing original stuff.
Oh, wait, and let me put this is fair use. So let me put my fair use banner on there. We are just showing a snippet of this because it's transformative work, and we are educating the public and critiquing the video we are sharing. This is covered under fair use, and it is allowable by law. Okay, here we go. Let's continue.
I wanted to do that too. So over the years, I've developed some skills that I didn't realize when I got started, but then I had a little talent for storytelling and music editing and graphics, and doing like video collage, taking a little of this and a little of this and putting them together in a way that you might not normally, expect to see them. And so for me, it's like, as hard as it was, and as close as I came to just total self-destruction in the midst of all the venom and abuse, and being able to develop those skills, learning as I was going, it's an invaluable experience.
So she's talking about the gang, right? She has an insight into the teenage FBI gang of Cromer, Schellenberger, and Dave Acton. She's in there, and and also another name, Frank Bacon, or Tyrone Simpson. I don't know who that is. So she's, and I'm sure I'm going to find out who they are because I'm saying their name, and that's an invitation to come and start fucking with me. Go ahead, because you just get piled right on your evidence gets piled right on the record. So fuck you, right? Fuck you in advance. So all seeing you is she's telling you, giving you a window into giving you an inside window into what these guys are doing. Right? And there's more. There's a lot more. Just bear with me. Let me cue it up for you. Right? So here's the emotional attachment part. Watch this.
There's this thing that you do, and like a lot of people have picked up on it, where you get emotionally bent out of shape if you feel that you're not receiving enough attention or that you're being excluded from the group. And
So is it possible that there's a woman now who's on Rumble that is not allowed on YouTube anymore? Is it possible that she thought somebody was not even alive anymore because they weren't responding to her and not giving her any attention? I'm just curious.
Personally, I think that is what brought you to the point where you're willing to be a mouthpiece for Thomas and for Frank Bacon without any consideration for the impact that you're going to have on whoever they tell you to talk shit about.
The impact on the people they tell you to talk shit about. So it's an instruction. They're directing, they're puppet masters. They're directing the lower level worker, the lower level victim to targeting people online. That's what they're talking about. That's what she's talking about.
And that sucks. I mean, I used to really admire you for your solidness. You were somebody that I looked to when I was feeling kind of flimsy, like I was floating off into the stratosphere. I would call you up and say, help ground me, because I believed that your character and your integrity and your compassion for people was something that I was lacking, and I turned to you for that. And the last thing that you did with me, I don't even fucking recognize you. I don't know you. I don't know you at all. You're not the same guy that I had in my mind. Or maybe this has been you all along and I was just really gullible or something.
Yes, you were. It is who they are all along. And yes, all seeing you are gullible.
Maybe I wanted to see those things in you when they never existed. I don't know. And I'm never going to know because I'm never going to ask. Right? Right. Spibbler. Bibbly, 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 bibbly. Seeing you continue to use the art that I made for you while talking shit about me and doing nothing to try and fucking help me, it's kind of gross. Can you possibly make something of your...
And that name that she just mentioned, blah, 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 right? Is somebody who's been commenting in the live streams of the individual that has been, saying a lot of heinous things about me on TikTok and YouTube, and hasn't because, I don't know. I guess maybe they got in trouble with YouTube and there just hasn't live streamed, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. That guy is also around in the orchestration of what happens over there. I'm just pointing that out. Okay.
Own? Can you manufacture the skill and creativity and the talent to come up with something of your own?
So she's saying they're basically ripping her off. They're using her like a cheap rug. They're using her for her talents. No money is changing hands. They're not paying her. They're using her with the expectation that someday you're going to be part of our crew. But we need one more favor. That's extortion. And in many senses, it is an extortion ring.
Okay, and I just want to stop it there because, again, when you talk about patterns of how people accuse other people of being, they say that very term that he just said, extortion ring. It's extortion. It's an extortion ring. And that comes from the lady on Rumble and a lot of other places. And so that is my own little part of making commentary on the stuff that has been going on. And that's it. I really like, for me, that's an analysis. I'm looking at things, I'm looking at the past, I'm looking at something else going on. And the one thing, and I'm not making a judgment on anybody or any name that is mentioned there per se, right? I'm not making a judgment on All Seeing You. Like, I don't mean, like, I mean, she is, like, I came out today and talked about what happened with me being in the truth media and giving you the background of things that I've seen and saw, I've experienced. You can sit back and you can judge me, whatever, right? But at least when you look at somebody like Carrie or myself, when you're coming out and you're talking about that experience and you're being very honest about it, I mean, for me, there's a level of admiration and respect for that, because you don't get to see that very often. You don't get to see somebody say, yeah, you know, I got involved in this. I did do this. I made these choices back then for whatever reason, but now I see things as they are. And I'm speaking about my experience of what really happened. That's all. That's the reason why I wanted to show you that clip, because what she talks about verifies exactly the patterns of things that I've looked at and what I think actually is really happening. I am corroborating her experience with the things that I've gone through and the stuff that I have observed and taken data on. It looks like what she's saying to me. And so that's all I have to say about that. Interesting. I'll go listen to the vid later today. Yeah, I do. I thought it was, I took my time watching in parts. I'm definitely being educated. I got a YOLO comment with the ghost rose and something else that I don't remember on one of my videos a couple months ago. I was unimpressed. Yeah, okay, so that's, again, a pattern and a symbol of things that they use. What does that mean, really, though, right? I mean, there are some explanations that are out there. Are they testable? Maybe. I don't know. Yes, you spoke truth. Her story was very interesting, and I enjoyed the way she told it. Yeah, I did too. Yeah, because she's very artistic with it, and I like that kind of jump cut telling a story style that she has. I think she's got that down really good. Okay, so on that note, I'm gonna take off. I hope to be back soon. But if I'm not, please, look out for my shorts. Oh, one more thing. Survey Junkie. If you do want to support my channel, and you don't want to, a really easy way to support me, all right, would be to join Survey Junkie. And if you hit this link right here, and I get 3 people to sign up, I will earn enough points to get $75. So I'm sharing Survey Junkie. I'll make sure that I link it with the share of this video, or I'll link it somewhere. I think I can link Survey Junkie on my description, right? Yeah. So I'll link Survey Junkie to my description of this video. And until then, I bid you farewell. Okay. Happy Labor Day. Where am I? This is for dot underscore. You know I'm going to do this one, right?
Save my soul.
Downtown. Wake up. Downtown. Wake up. Downtown. I want to save my soul. I was walking out one evening,
headed for the riverside around this fuss and fry.